Hi, and thank you for joining me for this quiz. I've got 60 questions for you, ranging from easy-ish to Ben's Tough 10. If you'd like to give yourself a challenge for this one, here's what you could be aiming for. So if you're ready, let's play. Louis Pasteur was an expert in which field? Microbiology, electronics, or astronomy? The answer, microbiology. Which colour is the cross of the Greek flag? Is it white, blue, or red? It is white. Optics is the study of what? Gravity, sound, or light? It is light. Which bird is a universal symbol of peace? A crow, a dove, or a peacock? That is a dove. A position which involves risk and responsibility is a poisoned what? Lantern, chalice, or pie? That is a poisoned chalice. What is the human body's largest organ? The lungs, liver, or skin? The answer is the skin. Cocker and Springer are what types of dog? Spaniel, sheepdog, or terrier? They are both spaniels. Which black and white bird is said to bring bad luck and steal shiny objects? Penguin, puffin, or magpie? That is the magpie. The hammer, anvil, and stirrup are small bones in what part of the body? Are they in the ear, the tongue, or the wrist? They are in the ear. What is the Spanish word for bull? Toro, perro, or burro? It is toro. Imelda Marcos, famous for her shoe obsession, was the first lady of which country? Malaysia, Philippines, or Indonesia? The answer, the Philippines. What is the term for someone who is an anonymous author of a book? Proofreader, ghostwriter, or masked writer? That is ghostwriter. Which animal is on the badge of Ferrari cars? A lion, a horse, or a bull? It is a horse. Riga is the capital city of which country? Estonia, Iceland, or Latvia? That's the capital of Latvia. Dr. Dolittle had which two-headed creature called Push Me Pull You? Was it a llama, a reindeer, or a horse? That was a llama. Cinquecento was the original name for what Italian car? Maserati 5000 GT, Ferrari F50, or Fiat 500? That was the Fiat 500. Which male bird is known for its tail of iridescent feathers which look like eyes? Golden pheasant, peacock, or scarlet macaw? The answer, peacock. K is the chemical symbol for which element? Krypton, potassium, or sodium? That is potassium. The statue Christ the Redeemer overlooks which South American city? Lima, Buenos Aires, or Rio de Janeiro? The answer, Rio de Janeiro. What is the term for a large crack in the Earth's crust? Is it a fault, an earth fold, or a basin? It is a fault. So which is more satisfying, the feeling of knowing the correct answer or learning a new fact? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I try to include a wide variety of questions so that you can experience both. Up next we've got a fun round, which is the picture round. Which one is an okapi? A, B or C? That is A. Which one is an aglet? That's B. Which one is St Paul's Cathedral in London? That's B. Which one is an Amazon River dolphin? That's C. Which one is Niagara Falls? That's C. Which is Maria Skłodowska-Curie, also known as Marie Curie? She is B. Which one is baklava? That is A. Which one is sage? That is A. Which image is of oyster mushrooms? That one is B. And lastly, which one is a smart car? That's B. I hope you enjoyed that. Now let's try some medium level questions. Brimstone is another name for which element? Sodium, sulfur, or potassium? That's the old word for sulfur. Which former US president had a liquor license and sold whiskey before being elected? George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, or Richard Nixon? That was Abraham Lincoln. Dhaka is the capital city of which country? Ethiopia, Senegal, or Bangladesh? That is the capital of Bangladesh. Which of the body's systems contains glands and produces hormones? Endocrine, digestive, or cardiovascular? It is the endocrine system. Hellenization is the process of adopting the language and culture of which ancient civilization? Greek, Roman, or Egyptian? That is Greek. What was the first name of painter Cézanne? Paul, Henri, or Frederick? It was Paul. What is the name of a short, witty poem? Epiphany, epitaph, or epigram? It is epigram. Fort Sumter is a famous landmark in which US state? Virginia, South Carolina, or North Carolina? That's in South Carolina. In which decade did the UK return Hong Kong to China? The 2010s, 2000s, or 1990s? That was in the 1990s. The Thinker is a famous sculpture by which artist? Michelangelo, Moore or Rodin? That's by Rodin. The Blue Mosque is a famous landmark in which city? Baghdad, Istanbul or Tehran? That's in Istanbul. The Galapagos Islands lie 600 miles off the coast of which country? Argentina, Ecuador or Peru? They're off the coast of Ecuador. What groundbreaking video game was launched by Atari in 1972? Donkey Kong, Pong or Tetris? That was Pong. Dushanbe is the capital of which of the following countries? North Korea, Mongolia or Tajikistan? That's the capital of Tajikistan. The first resident crew arrived at the International Space Station in what year? 1980, 90 or 2000? That was in 2000. The word soccer derives from which other word? Association, societies or session? That's from association. Vanuatu is an island country in which body of water? The Pacific, Atlantic or Indian Ocean? That's in the Pacific Ocean. What comes after Fahrenheit in the name of a famous novel? 9/11, 451 or 101? It is 451. The Four Noble Truths are the central beliefs of which religion? Judaism, Sikhism or Buddhism? The answer, Buddhism. Which author wrote Salem's Lot and The Stand? Stephen King, Agatha Christie or Dan Brown? They are by Stephen King. Okay, now let's see how you do with my final tough 10 questions. How many rows are there in a standard periodic table? Are there 5, 6 or 7? There are 7. The Althing is the parliament of which country? Sweden, Norway or Iceland? The answer is Iceland. Which occupation would use an instrument called a theodolite? A surveyor, a meteorologist or a surgeon? That's used by a surveyor. Who discovered the first radio waves from the Milky Way in 1933? Carl Jansky, Edwin Hubble or Jan Oort? That was Carl Jansky. There's Nothing Like a Dame comes from which musical? My Fair Lady, Carousel or South Pacific? That's from South Pacific. In Norse mythology, the first man was created from which species of tree? Beech, ash or oak? The answer is ash. Which country was the first to introduce the car license plate? The UK, France or Germany? That was France. In which Shakespeare play do we meet two gravediggers? Othello, Hamlet or Macbeth? They are in Hamlet. Which of these is a category of comet? Pulsar-like, starburst or short period? That is, short period. Spanish artist Picasso spent most of his adult life in which country? Switzerland, Italy or France? The correct one there is France. Okay, I'd love to know how satisfied you were with this quiz. Let me know in the comments down below and any other thoughts. Plus, how often do you replay old quizzes to see if you can still remember the answers? I'll put a playlist for you up there of ones you might not have played for a while. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you again on another quiz.